And I remember my dad pointing at a poster and saying, I really want to see that movie. And you know what movie that was? Fellowship of the Ring.
Oh.
I do not qualify that for this conversation, except that it was my dad that got my attention on that movie.
I will tell you, Return of the King plays on TNT all the time. So
That is true.
I've seen the 18 endings to the Return of the King many, many, many times.
This is the ultimate like cross-reference check. If Derek can find it on his upcoming TNT calendar, then it checks out.
You're listening to All My Friends Are Movie Fans. I am Thomas, Stoneham Judge, here to host conversations about what's new and relevant in film with my friends who are movie fans. With F1 the movie now in theaters, I figured this was a good time to talk about the two categories of films that F1 definitely falls in line with. The colloquially named dad movies and films where dudes rock. So today we're going to ask some key questions. How do you define a dad movie? What are our favorite dudes rock films? How much do these categories overlap? And does being attracted to Brad Pitt make straight guys any less straight? Let's get into it. The friends joining me include Nerdbot film critic and ForReel co-producer Derek Murray.
Listen, I know this mission sounds impossible, and I'm no boondock saint, but if things stay in the air, we're going to be gone in 60 seconds in this den of thieves. Yeah.
Love it. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
How are any of us supposed to follow that?
There you're hearing editor-in-chief over at the Rolling Tape, Danny JARABEK.
I do want to say this is the Urban Dictionary definition. This kind of movie usually contains middle-aged dudes beating other dudes and winning the love of their lives. So take that for what you will.
Thank you, Danny, for thinking to go to Urban Dictionary for this, because I did not. And then we have OG ForReel member and dad himself, Tim Nagle.
Well, you took my line. I'm the only dad on the panel.
Congratulations for being the most qualified for this podcast. Oh man, guys. So yes, lots to talk about here. I do want to have some F1 discussion. I think that's going to be really fun, but really let's start with the dad movie. Derek and I mean, we've all kind of had a little bit of conversation about what constitutes a dad movie. And I don't know, I'm ready to like get our own definition of that. Let's start there. Danny, you gave us the Urban Dictionary definition. Give us more of like your perspective on how you qualify a dad film.
Yeah, well, I feel like from my perspective, it's movies that I would watch with my dad, knowing that he would enjoy them. Because I think I put together a letterbox list at one point of like, these are my dad's favorite movies, and they're all just like 80s, like either action movies or like super hammy or kind of cheesy drama. Like there's westerns in there. Like it's an era of it's a type of movie and that just has a vibe to it that is a little bit hard to place, and I think that's kind of what we'll be exploring. But there's like, I think at times there can be a sort of, either if you look at it from like Top Gun Maverick, like a dilution of like really exploring in a more progressive way sometimes some of the ideas that it's dealing with. Like sometimes there can be a patriotism to some dad movies, I think, particularly with the Hollywood studio system. And then other times it's just like super schlocky slapstick comedies that can fall under the category as well. I think there's different genres that can fall under the umbrella of dad movie, but the only thing you can really point to is like, you know it when you see it, right? And when you see it, you're like, yeah, my dad would watch that. I know a lot of other dads that would watch that, and they're going to enjoy the hell out of it. And you know what? All the power to them. I think it's a funny sort of idea to explore. But yeah, I mean, you kind of nailed a early list there, Derek, in your intro. But it's just like, you know it when you see it. you know, and you can't really explain it. Sometimes even like, I think the marketing material too, like a poster, I think you see a poster and you're like, you know, that harkens back to like a different era of film that feels like has a target audience that's like a little bit older than myself, coming from my perspective, right? And yeah, I think there's a lot to explore with it, and there's certainly some that I think are better than others. I think, you know, some of the ones we'll talk about that do qualify as dad movies have also a huge level of technical achievement as well that are really fascinating compared to maybe an earlier era. So a lot to explore here.
Yeah, absolutely. Derek, let's get your take on this.
Yeah, honestly, Danny kind of took the words right out of my mouth. When we were having our conversation beforehand, before the show, we were trying to define it. That's what we were kind of looking for, a definition to kind of lead into the show. And it kind of just ended with me saying, I don't know how to define it, but you know it when you see it. And that's just that is honestly just the vibes of both dudes rock and dad movies. And honestly, they can be separate. Like, they can exist in separate categories, but there's this beautiful overlap where they both kind of, you get the dudes rock and the dad movie. And they just make this beautiful marriage. And I think sometimes, like, I tend to use the TNT energy or TNT coded or TNT movie as like a pejorative phrase when I'm reviewing films that definitely have that energy. But that's not always the case. Like, there are really good movies that fall into either one of those categories. And so I think Danny kind of nailed it perfectly, where it's just it covers all kinds of genres. There's no specific genre. I mean, you look at something like Air and Den of Thieves, like, they couldn't be further apart as far as like subject matter and just everything is like, they're not even close to the same genre. They're miles apart from each other, but they literally exist in that same TNT dudes rock dad category on either side, and you can make the case for either one. So it really is. I think everything about this is just going to be vibes. It's just going to be all vibes picks and all just energy. There's just an energy to the movie that you know within the first 5 minutes. If you're like, oh yeah, my dad would crack open a beer, watch this on cable on Sunday afternoon at 3:00 in the afternoon, and then pass out before the movie ever finishes. Like, they're movies you've only seen in pieces too. One of the examples that we brought up was like National Treasure. National Treasure is absolutely like a dad movie, and it's also kind of like a dudes rock type of movie. I don't think I've ever seen that movie outside of it being on TNT. I've seen the whole thing. I don't know that I've ever seen the whole movie all the way through, because it repeats on TNT and FX over and over and over again, and I just come in at different parts. And that's exactly what it does. Like, that is the energy that a TNT movie does. So
Yeah, I love when you said TNT energy the first time. I was like, yeah, that's a definition.
That's a like double entendre too, I think, for
Yeah.
some movies that fall in this category. Like,
That's so perfect.
dads watch the cable network television channel TNT, but also they love explosions.
I love explosions. That's what's up. Tim, as the father on the panel, I'm most curious in how you define the dad movie, especially since I know your sensibility in film.
Yeah, so I mean, the guys basically took most of I think we all kind of agree on that. You think of like, my father would be into like those old era World War II movies, or those classic military films. So then you get those in there. You get the slapstick comedy. I actually tend to kind of look at it like, what did my dad watch, and what did he have me watch, and then kind of hone in on, he had like specific actors, like specific people that played certain roles, and they kind of had that dude rock personality about them. So I think that's another area to look at.
That's actually a really good point. I think you're right, there wasn't there. I mean, when I think like Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone, you know, like there's definitely an era where like sometimes where the actor really helped define that dad movie. And I don't know how prevalent that is like now when it comes to dad movies. I mean, maybe Brad Pitt. One of the movies I had thought of putting like on my list was like Moneyball. I don't know if that's dude rocky enough,
Oh,
but it
100%.
definitely is.
It is
Is it? I mean,
dad
I love
movie.
it.
It is
It's
dad
definitely a
movie.
dad movie. Oh,
And
absolutely.
I think there's some dudes rock energy going on there because there's
For sure.
really that it's got that element of because I think a lot of times we think of dudes rock as being like just all action, but like
Mhm.
you can have the buddy cop element in movies that don't have action. And Moneyball has that dynamic between Jonah Hill and Brad Pitt. That's a buddy cop version just with a baseball framework. Like they're on opposite ends. They don't agree. One person comes around to the other side. They work together to figure out a problem. They use baseball stats instead of machine guns, but like the outline is basically the same. So, but no, Moneyball's a great pick.
The outline is the same. I think you're right. It's just it's a less visible form. It sort of disarms the like either like militarization of it all that I think you can find a lot of times, and it's like a little bit more mental than physical, but like the outline is there.
Yeah, absolutely. Which so I guess maybe you can put Brad Pitt in the category of like a modern uh dad movie kind of figure, I suppose. But when it comes to Dude Rocks films, which this is a good segue into this question. Tim, let's start with you. I want to hear some of your favorite Dudes Rock movies.
All I can think about is my dad. So when it's not necessarily a great movie, but it's a great dude rock movie. The original Expendables, because you got all of those actors and characters that my dad would watch. And so remember seeing all of them come back for that was like, yeah, I could see the new wave of folks, but that's not a dad film. So I think
like
that one. As soon as you said that, that's the one that immediately popped into my head.
That's peak dudes rock energy, dude. Like nailed it.
That's perfect. Derek, what's on your list? Give us some more of the titles that you thought about.
Yeah, so we're just talking dudes rock, right?
Yeah, just dudes rock.
Yeah, so I think dudes rock. I would probably give like Tombstone. Tombstone is that kind of rolls around, and that's in the same category too, though. That's God, this is actually harder than I thought. I think The Town is very dudes rock. Like that one has a little bit more levity to it. And I don't know that it has some dad energy, but not really. Like I don't know that your dad would love this movie, but it is very much like dudes rock movie. Like that's a movie that just kind of comes to mind. It's not as good as Tim's, but as far as like how it fits into the category, but yeah.
Absolutely. Danny, what movies do you have in mind when you think dudes rock?
I think one of the first things that comes to mind is honestly, like going back to like some of my dad's favorite movies. I found my Letterboxd list that I made like years ago of like his favorite movies, and it's in the like ballpark of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, The Sting, Cool Hand Luke, like Paul Newman coded, I think, movies that fall under this category.
Big
a little
dudes
bit.
Rock dad guy energy. That's another actor that's
And then a couple others I want to go to because I think sports movies are something that we will probably talk about, at least that genre existing under this umbrella and how that sort of overlaps. I want to go to a couple of Richard Linklater movies, Dazed and Confused, and the like spiritual sequel, Everybody Wants Some. I think are a little bit more closer to sort of modern examples of this sort of existing, and a lot of it is, within the camaraderie of a male team and, how that sort of presents itself as well. The energy of a sports team kind of rallying together for sports or extracurriculars, as we have seen in those movies.
Yeah, great call outs there. You know, a movie that's coming to mind, and this shouldn't be a part of this conversation, but I remember being what was I, 10 at this point, either 10 or 11, and I remember my dad pointing at a poster and saying, I really want to see that movie. And I don't remember my dad doing that a lot back then, but he was like, I really want to see that movie. And you know what movie that was? Fellowship of the Ring.
Oh.
I do not qualify that for this conversation, except that it was my dad that got my attention on that movie. And I think the Lord of the Rings movies have dad energy segments. Anything with Legolas, Aragorn, Gimli, yeah, those are like dad movie segments for sure. But yeah, I was just thinking about that when I was putting the notes together. Like Lord of the Rings, I think Lord of the Rings has a lot going on with it outside of, you know, the dad energy that Aragorn gives in that movie, but also it's so accessible for a lot of people. And I think that's another thing that has to qualify a dad movie, is that when it's overly popular with a lot of demographics, like, you know, I think that kind of diminishes the dudes rock dad, you know, vibe here. But yeah, anyway, my dad pointed that movie out, and now I'm obsessed with it. It's his fault.
I will tell you, Return of the King plays on TNT all the time. So
that is true.
I've seen the ending to the Return. Well, I've seen the 18 endings to the Return of the King many, many, many times.
This is the ultimate like cross-reference check. If Derek can find it on his upcoming TNT calendar, then it checks out.
That's really funny. But I think the movie that I like love as a dudes rock film, it's a more recent one, and I vibe with this movie so hard. And it's RRR.
Oh my god, I was gonna mention this and I forgot. Yeah.
Y'all,
peak.
Absolute peak dudes rock. Like, I can't get enough of that movie.
I love how this movie like is aware that it celebrates it though. Like I think that's what takes it into like another echelon, is like I think there are some movies that don't have the sort of self-awareness that it is presenting this like masculinity in a certain way, and that movie is just like so over the top absurd about celebrating it, but also just like embracing the like goofiness of it all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it's totally homoerotic, which is something
really
that dad movies, something that dad movies should really start embracing a lot more of.
I mean, Top Gun did it. Like,
oh my god, it's so funny
happens.
too. Like you, Danny, you point out that self-referentiality of something like RRR that really embraces that homoeroticism of male camaraderie. Like it just does. And so many of these other movies that we talk about from like the 80s and 90s are so homoerotic coded, but they insist that they're not. And it's like, no, dude, like y'all are into it. Y'all got a guy love thing going on. And
like you're not gonna you're gonna tell me that Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid didn't have a thing for each other? Come on, what are we talking about here? And it's like, that's a movie that like my dad loves. Would he ever even have a crossing thought of that? No, not even a little bit. That he's watched that movie probably 1,000 times in his life, and I don't think he's probably ever had that thought come to mind. But like, I watch it today, obviously in a far different context than when he first encountered it, and I'm like, gay. They're gay. Like,
which brings us around to the question: does being attracted to Brad Pitt make straight guys any less straight? Answer: no. Thank you, guys.
No, not even a little bit.
I was thinking about this after I watched Formula One. Actually, while I was watching F1, I literally thought, you know, if I was straight, I'd be gay for Brad Pitt. that tracks. Like this dude is just like hitting every like aspirational point of a dude, and I'm here for it, you know. So yeah, great conversation, guys. For those listening, I appreciate you tuning in. If you're enjoying this conversation, please engage with us. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, whatever engagement works for you. Anything helps with increasing our exposure. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks a lot for that. I want to go ahead and transition into F1 conversation. Tim, I'm going to start with you. I know you haven't seen it yet because you're a dad, and it's probably something you'll watch on streaming, which makes sense. And honestly, it's probably a great place to watch it. What are your feelings or thoughts about how much you're anticipating F1? Like, what's your feelings about that movie? Just kind of from what you've seen.
I mean, to be completely honest, F1 wasn't really on my radar. Like you said,
Mhm.
I don't get to go out much, so when it comes out on streaming, that's normally when I get to see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which makes sense. And I mean, after I saw it, I was like, yeah, that's kind of a place that this movie belongs. So, Danny, I know you've seen it. What was your thoughts on the movie?
Yeah, this was very much something my anticipation level, my expectations were neutral. I knew it was going to exist. You know, there's some level of excitement with Joseph Kosinski, knowing that he is a very competent technician of filmmaking. So you have, I think, that aspect of it. It's fine. I forgot about it mostly 24 to 48 hours later. It plays as pedestrian and predictable of a drama as you could probably ever expect it to. And the races are thrilling. And that's exactly what I thought was going to be the case going into it. And that's exactly how I came out of it. And I think that might be a little bit of an aspect of a dad movie. It might be a little bit predictable.
A little bit, you know, who's there for the drama when you have racing going on, right? Derek, I know we've talked about it a little bit, but yeah, how did you feel walking out of F1, and what are your thoughts on it now?
Yeah, not to kind of go on too long, but I kind of just agree with Danny across the board. I was just completely like, so the way that I kind of phrased it was, anytime the tires are on the track, this movie is soaring. But it spends most of its time not racing, and it just, like, they just pump on the brakes, and it just becomes, it gets to like a screeching halt. But this fits all of the molds of dudes rock dad energy. Like, just, and when we talk about, like, if I'm going to reference it as being like a TNT in kind of a pejorative sense, it will find great life on there because there's like 12 racing scenes in this movie. So, like, you don't have to watch the whole thing. The same way that I've watched National Treasure over the 10 years. Like, you could do this with F1. Like, you could literally just turn it on and be like, oh, cool, I like this race. And then when anything else is happening, just turn it off. Like, it's fine. Like, you can come in the last 20 minutes and just watch the final race and just be like, yeah, that was cool. That was really, I don't need to watch the other 2.5 hours, but that last 20 minutes, fire. And, like, that's just dad movie energy. Like, that's just the kind of stuff that it can do. So yeah, but to Danny's point, like, I literally sat down to write my review like 2 days later, and I had to, like, Google what happened because I straight up just did not remember. Like, I don't even think I bothered giving a synopsis in the review. I was just like, look, cars go fast. It's vroom vroom. And Kosinski is a technical master and a kind of a terrible storyteller. And it's just like I think I called it the less successful distant cousin of Top Gun Maverick. Like, and that's basically the entire movie. That's what it is.
It's the third cousin twice removed that, like, gets looked down upon at the Thanksgiving dinner.
That only shows up for those two, Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then you never hear from him again. He's only there to ask for money. Like, that's kind of where F1 falls.
Yeah, that tracks. That sounds about right.
Not to taper down your expectations too much, Tim. Sorry, Danny and I were a little harsh.
I mean, but were you? I literally thought I could be watching this at home on TV and it would be fine. I mean, it's fun to get because I did see it in IMAX, and it's fun to have the full screen aspect ratio. My theater had not the greatest sound system, so I was a little mad at the theater for that. But yeah, like, you know, Derek is so right. Just turn it on, and whatever race is on is like, oh, that was a fun one. Let me watch this race and then go back to whatever I was doing, and then, you know, when another race comes on, come back and watch that race. And then, you know, it definitely gives that kind of energy. It just begs to be on you know, cable or streaming. I mean, it's Apple movie, so it'll be on Apple TV Plus at some point. Yeah, I didn't get a whole lot out of it. I think the one reason I think of it as positively as I do right now is because the next day I saw Megan 2.0. And that's actually boring. Like, that is
I've actually not seen that one yet.
Oh, lucky you.
Yeah, don't. You're an editor-in-chief. Assign that to somebody that needs to like earn their stripes on your team.
Oh,
Absolutely.
I'm not reviewing it, and we didn't do a podcast show for it. So if neither of those two boxes are checked, I don't have a legitimate reason other than curiosity to see something like that.
You know what? Again, streaming. It just throw it on, and whenever Megan's talking, you can watch, and then when she's not, and she's not talking a lot in that movie, then you can walk away and do whatever else.
I do love that our team has very cleverly just started using the terminology Mithrigan, and that's just been fun.
Are they? I absolutely called the first one M3gan. Like that was the name of the movie for me.
Yeah.
So I mean, now that we're adding extra numbers to the title, I don't know if I want to, put more numbers into the name, but
they've already burnt their bridge on what to call the third movie in the
we
trilogy,
talked about this. Yeah, like I don't know what they're gonna call the next one. Although
it's just back to Mithrigan.
They have to they just put little dashes in between the three, so it's like M-3- and then we have to read it that way.
They're gonna retcon the title of the original movie to Megan 1 and then reuse the title for Mithrigan.
Oh my god, they would do that. That's hilarious. We do have
not a dad movie though.
Not a dad movie. I don't know if it's an anyone movie. Like that movie doesn't appeal to anyone. So yeah, we do have a whole podcast episode on that. It's live. You can go listen to us complain about M3gan 2.0. Cool. I've lost where I'm at on my notes because that was a good conversation. So what we're gonna do here, I've put together a list of movies that I thought kind of fit the dudes rock dad movies categories, but as we're kind of discussing here, there's clearly a Venn diagram, and I think that Venn diagram overlaps a lot. But there are some movies that qualify for one and maybe not another, or what's the vibe of it, and trying to figure that out. So like I had the movies that I thought would qualify, but what we're going to do is we're going to blind rank movies that could qualify for both, and we're going to discuss them, and after we discuss whether they fit in the middle of that Venn diagram, we're going to blind rank them. That's what I was trying to do. All right, cool.
Here we go.
There we go.
This feels
yes,
right. Yeah.
Did it. Okay, so the first one that I picked, that the random picker chose, is Braveheart. All right, guys.
Holy shit.
We're starting off strong.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Firstly, where on the Venn diagram does Braveheart fall? Do we all kind of agree on this one?
That feels
I'd say both.
me. Yeah, that feels right in there.
Right in there, right?
There's a part of me that almost wants to say it doesn't quite reach the dudes rock category, but then it kind of does. It's definitely like that's friggin' peak dad energy. Like that.
Right.
Braveheart is like the definition of a dad movie. Yeah, I'd say this one fits. I think Braveheart would be our first one to go on this list for sure.
Oh, all right. Now, where on this list does it go?
We can arrange this list later, right? Like once
no,
we have
no
what
blind ranking. Once you pick where it's at, you got to rank around it.
Oh no!
I gotta say, I do not like Braveheart. I think there is just an incredible amount of things that aged horrifically in this movie,
and none of that actually includes Mel Gibson himself,
and none of that includes the actual director. Yeah.
All right.
This movie won Best Picture, didn't it?
Yeah. I don't.
Holy shit, man.
Or no, I think it was might be on your snubbed list.
Did it? Man?
I can't remember.
I thought it lost to something else.
Okay. I'm on
quick,
the research
quick Google
right
check
now.
there.
Yeah, quick Google check. It was nominated. Well, it won makeup, it won sound effects, it won cinematography, director, and picture.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'm thinking of a different one.
Maybe the sequel called The Patriot.
Derek.
I have for years I have been calling that movie Braveheart Goes West because that's basically what that movie is.
Wow.
Okay, this is tough because I'm with Danny. I don't really care for Braveheart. Like, I'm just not a big fan of it, and I do think in totality it is super problematic, and I don't think it ages well. But we're not ranking on preference. We're ranking on where it falls in the Dudes Rock
that's
dad
a
movie
nuance
category.
that's important.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in that regard, I'm not going to give a definitive number, but it feels very top 3 to me.
Ooh, interesting.
Okay. I'm just trying to think of movies that can override it in terms of like how well it fits on that Venn diagram.
That's a critical nuance, because in my head originally I was thinking about it ranking on preference, and I was like, this got to be on the bottom half. But ranking it on Dudes Rock Dad energy, it's just balls to the wall. Dudes Rock Dad energy. I'm willing to go, because I do, my strategy on blind rankings is like, I don't want to overcommit myself to the extremes, because then you could end up in a really testy situation if you get something that is a true extreme later on.
Like the best movie ends up being number 10, and then
nobody ever happens. That's what makes this so much fun.
I don't like to overcommit on blind rankings, so I'm willing to go into like maybe 3 territory.
I was thinking 3 as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, Tim, as the resident dad, I feel like this is we need your input.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that it ranks, like you were saying, in those top 3, just on that nuance. But with blind rankings, like you said, you don't want to go too high. So I think 3 is kind of the peak.
Okay.
Because you just don't know what's coming later.
Yeah. All right. I feel good about this.
Yep.
All right. Braveheart, number 3. Let's get the next one.
God, I don't love looking at a list that has Braveheart at number 3. I don't care what the list is. I don't like it. The optics of this, like, remove the context. We're looking at a list that has a blank list with Braveheart at number 3.
That's hilarious. The next one that was randomly picked is The Nice Guys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I'm comfortable. I like The Nice Guys. I think I've always been pretty mid on the movie itself, but I love the Dudes Rock energy from Gosling and Crow. I think they're so good, and I wish they would do like 100 Nice Guys together and just find like the beautiful blend of the film and their energy, which I don't think The Nice Guys brings together all the way. I'm fine with putting this between like 7 to 9. I don't think it's going to be the worst on this list, but.
All right. Danny, what are you thinking?
I'm in the same ballpark. I do think this qualifies, but I think this movie has a lot wider demographic appeal that makes it like not my first thought of being like a dad movie. Like, I think dads would enjoy this. It has the Russell Crowe aspect, I think, is an appeal there. Like, because I mean, Russell Crowe's career could also, there's a lot of examples I think could fall in here.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's because I know like so many young people that love this movie. So it's not like my first thought. It does have more Dudes Rock than Dad. So I do think like the bottom half is more like I'm in the like 8 plus or minus, which is where Derek kind of had it too.
Real quick, rule, like if it doesn't qualify for both, we don't rank it, right? You have
we don't rank it. That's true.
Oh,
okay.
Yes,
okay.
we don't rank it. Yep.
Okay.
Danny, are you trying to disqualify this one?
I might. I mean, I think it's way more Dudes Rock than Dad's in it. Like, I don't think of this as, and obviously we got to go to Tim. But sorry, man, this is why you're on the show. You are really, you are the barometer. Because you are our actual baseline. But yeah, it doesn't scream dad movie to me. It definitely is Dudes Rock, like 100% Dudes Rock, but it does have that broader appeal. And nothing strikes me as, because there's been modern movies that have dad energy, right? Like F1 is a great example where, like, yeah, this movie just came out, but like dad's everywhere. It's going to be their favorite movie in a couple of years. But I haven't seen that with The Nice Guys, but it is definitely Dudes Rock.
Okay, we will disqualify this one and move on to the next one.
Does Tim agree with that assessment?
Oh yeah, sorry.
I do agree with that assessment.
All right.
Got to check in on our barometer.
I know.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
We're gonna
All
mess
right.
this whole thing up if we don't constantly check
Yeah,
in with Tim and
truly.
make sure we're doing it.
The next one that was randomly picked, Bad Boys.
Oh my god.
Mm.
Oh man. Wow.
Oh,
Ooh.
oh man.
You only put Braveheart at number 3.
This is so hard.
Part of me feels like you almost have to put it at number 2 because of the conversation before that. Being so worried about putting Braveheart too high, you almost have to make sure you put things above it.
Yeah.
I feel like Bad Boys is that quintessential, like they're
This
doing
is quintessential, man. Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah, because even your racist dad likes things about Bad Boys. Like Bad Boys, like it reaches across racial lines too in how good and how much
that's
dad
that's
dudes
a
rock
clip
energy
right
it
there.
has.
Even your racist dad like Bad Boys. Wow. Yeah, I mean, like Michael Bay, like put him on the Mount Rushmore of dad movies.
Yeah, that's
dad
true.
movie director Michael Bay is right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So we're looking at number 2 for
okay
Bad
with it.
Boys. Is that?
Yeah, I'd be okay.
I
with
have
it.
no problem with number 2. I think I still don't want to commit to number 1 so early.
I feel like
again,
number
there's gonna be
4 is going to
something.
be the spiritual more than 3 at some point.
No.
But we're gonna put Bad Boys at number 2. All right. The next one that's randomly picked. Oh, fun. Lethal Weapon.
Oh,
Oof. God. These are you are just rattling off peak after peak after peak.
It's randomly chosen.
More Mel Gibson.
More Mel Gibson.
I know, right?
how much of this list is Mel Gibson?
Yeah, right. That's a good question too.
That is a good question. I think about it. I don't know.
Because when I talked about actors, Mel Gibson is one of those.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's a valid
100%.
point.
Especially like 80s, 90s Mel Gibson, obviously.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Where are we thinking?
Mm. Lethal Weapon might be my favorite dad movie of all time.
Yeah, it's man.
Oh boy.
I gotta leave it though. It's peak.
I gotta leave this one to the two of you. I've actually not seen Lethal Weapon.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I will tell you. One, you should check it out because it's solid. But it is like it is kind of like the definition of buddy cop movie. Like it sets the precedent for pretty much all buddy cop movies that have ever come out after it. Like Lethal Weapon is just peak dudes rock. And because it's kind of the first of its kind a little bit, your dad loves this movie. Like I don't think I've met a dad that doesn't love the original Lethal Weapon. I almost want to put it at number 1, but that feels way too bold.
I kind of want you to. I want to see all the. What's that?
With what you're hitting us with early, also a quick question though, because we have Bad Boys. Obviously, you said Lethal Weapon. Is there it's just like the series, or is it like you're gonna give me Lethal Weapon 2 5 movies down the list or something?
This is a really great question. I opted to only pick one movie in a franchise, so there will not be a Lethal Weapon 2 on this.
So this is sort of representative of Lethal Weapon in a way.
Pretty much, right? Like I had this issue with that New York Times top list where it's like I have to put Lord of the Rings as my top 3 movies because there's no button for just one Lord of the Rings, and because of that, my biggest gripe with that list is that Fellowship of the Ring is the only one in the top 100, and votes were split, so it's 87. Get out of here! Like no way. That list is so like just like dead to me. I don't trust that list. Although Parasite is number 1 is okay.
It's solid. The top 20 is pretty solid off that list. This is my conundrum, Tim. I can't. There's no world where I can put Lethal Weapon below Braveheart but I'm terrified to put it as number one because then if there's something like I don't know, I feel like we've already screwed ourselves. Lethal Weapon is infinitely better than Braveheart, and it's way more longstanding. It's way like Lethal Weapon plays again the TNT barometer. Like you can find Lethal Weapon on TNT more than you can find Braveheart.
Yeah,
and it's just a better movie. Oh shit.
Yeah, we might have overshot.
I think in hindsight we put Braveheart a little high.
Yeah,
a little bit, but now what does that mean for Lethal Weapon? Does it take that number one spot, or do you give it a spiritual?
It's got to be 1 or 4, right?
Yeah.
I feel like no matter what we do in this situation, you're gonna look back on the list and just be like, what did we do with the first movie that popped out?
What did we?
Because we could put Lethal Weapon 1, or we could say like, no, we'll put it at, at the end we're still gonna be like, Lethal Weapon's better than Braveheart, but that's kind of the whole thing of these blind rankings is you're gonna end up with a list that doesn't look like it's supposed to.
I would be okay. I could live, and I feel like I could argue for Lethal Weapon being number one. I could probably justify it being number 4, but if we did end up doing that, I won't be mad.
Well, I guess the question is like, is there anything out there that you would undeniably put above Lethal Weapon? Because the chances are it's going to come up, and that means it would have to be one.
I know. And this randomizer has killed me almost every single time because like every time I'm like, oh, that's peak, like put it way high, and then the next movie comes out and I'm like, oh shit, well no, that's the peaky peak here. So I would actually I would be okay. I could sleep tonight even if Lethal Weapon is number 1, and my argument would be it is better than Braveheart, but also Bad Boys is literally Lethal Weapon, like. It's the Michael Bay version of Lethal Weapon. They are one and the same. And so, like, while I think Bad Boys is a lot more fun, like, you wouldn't have Bad Boys without Lethal Weapon. Like, Michael Bay watched Lethal Weapon and was like, I'm doing it with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence.
Tim, is number 1 the final answer? What do you think?
Yeah, I think because I'm trying to think in the back of my head what movies would go above that. And he made a great point. A lot of the movies that may show up on this list are just Lethal Weapon-esque. It's one of the first ones to come out. There's one other movie I'm thinking of that's kind of the first, but yeah, I think
I'm gonna be so curious if that comes up. That's gonna be fun.
Probably. Seeing the list, probably.
I think this makes sense if again, I haven't seen it, but if you guys think that Lethal Weapon is a big precursor to a lot of the movies we'll discuss, this makes sense to me. I think you laid out a strong argument for its positioning.
When you see it, if you watch Lethal Weapon and Bad Boys back to back, it's clear that one was inspired by the other. Like it's undeniable.
I love it. Well, there we go, guys. There's the top 3 right now.
I can't even believe this.
Well,
yeah, normally with blind rating,
like
don't do it like this.
No, this is not a good place to be when you're doing a blind ranking.
All right. The randomizer has picked our next option, and it is Moneyball.
Ooh.
I feel safe about this not being a top 3. So
I'm okay with it too. It's big energy for both. It's not better than 1 and 2. It is better than 3, but that's just where we are.
I almost feel like you got to put it in the second half though, because if we put it at 4, we're just lining the list as we go down.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. I think this
makes sense as a back half though.
Yeah, I'd be fine if it was 4 or 5. I think it's probably that high preferentially. But just to give us a little bit of breathing room somewhere in here, I'm okay with even 7 through 9 if we really need to. I love Moneyball. I hate baseball, but Moneyball is fantastic. So
I'm weirdly the opposite. I love baseball. I'm a diehard baseball fan, and I think for that reason, I'm like a little less in love with Moneyball. I don't know. It's weird that like my relationship to sports movies is weird because I love watching sports, and they feel like different realms to me. And when they cross over, I'm like, this doesn't feel right. Like something about this is off.
Yeah, no, that makes sense because I love Moneyball, and I'm pretty sure going to a baseball game is specifically to eat hot dogs, hang out with friends, and not pay attention to baseball.
That's it. That's it. The only thing I do at baseball games is get fat. That's it. I don't do anything else.
That's it. All right, so we're on the back half with 7, 8, 9. What are we thinking?
I could do any one of those three. Anything between 7 through 9. I'm comfortable. It won't bother me wherever.
Maybe we can be mad at my decision. I'll put it at number 8, and we'll see what that does.
I'm okay with that. Like average it out.
Yeah.
Like, I do like it's a better movie than everything else we have on the list, in my opinion. And I think you guys would at least to some extent agree with that. But like I'm trying to take out like movie quality from this and like just focus on like dad and dude rock energy. And I think it's like tamer than the other ones. Like there's a mentality and an intellectualism, especially with that script and Aaron Sorkin, you know, how he kind of deals with all of these things that isn't quite at the like vibe and energy of other things.
Yeah.
All right. Feeling good about that one. The next one that comes up is Ocean's 11.
Oh my God. I knew this was coming too. This is, of all three categories, like this is one of my favorite movies. Like this is Dudes Rock, TNT, dad movie. Like this. I love this movie so much.
So are we talking 2001 Soderbergh, or are we talking OG?
2001 Soderbergh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it 2001? It wasn't that long ago, was it?
Yeah, it was.
No
Ocean's
way.
11? Yeah, dude.
What?
Yeah.
I can't be that old.
Yeah, we're getting ready to remake it for no reason whatsoever. Like that's coming.
Oh my gosh!
No one said it is, but it's coming.
That blows my mind. Look, I know like Lord of the Rings came out a while ago, but like Ocean's 11, I feel like wasn't that like a 2012 movie? Didn't they just line up Ocean's 11, 12, and 13? I don't know.
This movie's so cool. This is just such a cool movie. Everybody in it is cool. George Clooney and Brad Pitt are just like, God, that energy that they're giving is so Dudes Rock or dad movie. Like just absolute at their best. Like it is the best they've ever been on screen together. But again, I know we have to kind of save ourselves. So like I'll give the range. I'm fine anywhere between 5 to 7.
Okay, 5 to 7.
I wouldn't hate anybody for putting it at 4, but if we
Tim,
we're just front loading the whole thing, so
I'm like I like the idea of keeping at least 4 open.
Yeah.
You know, if something pops. Right.
Danny, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. I think this is a 5 to 6 for me. I'm fine with either. Both give us a buffer on either side.
Let's call it 6. You guys seem so apprehensive. You're not sure what I'm going to do next.
I know, dude. This is like
must make me nervous.
I know it's way more nerve-wracking than I thought it would be. I was like, oh, blind ranking. This is easy. And now I'm just like, I've ruined everything.
I'm just waiting for the comments.
Like, there is no way that making this list was ever going to not have a consequence of some interesting glances.
All right. The next this one's interesting. The next one that it's choosing is Breakpoint.
Or Point Break.
Sorry, Point Break. Yeah, I typed that backwards. Sorry, Point Break. What are we thinking? Are we qualifying it? Is it dad movie and Dudes Rock? Like, what are we thinking here?
Interesting, because this is, I would venture to guess, one of very few that we're going to have that we encounter directed by a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we can disqualify it. I do think your dad loves this movie. I would say it probably leans more dudes rock than dad movie, but I'd be okay with putting it somewhere in the middle and then being forced to rank it. This is a strange one for me because personally, I adore this movie. But if we're kind of taking a step back and looking at it like objectively, I don't know that it's actually better than any of these movies on the list already. Personal rankings, I would just automatically put this at 4 because I love it, but that's not what we're doing. So I'd kind of be fine anywhere. Like anywhere we decide to put it, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
If you think it qualifies at all, I think you can make the argument that it does, but I'd be okay if you discount the dad movie portion of it and decide that it doesn't qualify.
Yeah.
Well, I think if you really have to try to quantify why it is, I think maybe we leave it up the list.
All right. Danny, what do you think?
I'm leaning in that direction too. I've been pulling them up on IMDb simultaneous to when you announce them, and that like auto plays the trailer. I'm not even listening to it. I'm just watching the images, and I'm like, the iconography here is like the Bible of dad movie. Like I'm seeing half naked woman, I'm seeing skydiving, I'm seeing guns. Like it's all there. Like, but
it is balls to the wall, dudes rock for sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure how this isn't one I had thought of when I had thought dad movie. I don't think it's wrong, but I'm also curious to like if there's any hesitation to maybe leave some off just to see how deep we can get into the roster of what this randomizer is gonna bring. And I do have some hesitation on it. Like I'd be maybe like a 9 or 10. I'd be okay with, but like I'm not against disqualifying it either.
Okay, I think we're moving to disqualify it. That's cool.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the next one. And the randomizer has chosen Mission Impossible.
Oh, so this is representative again.
Yes, representative. Yes.
Yeah. Ooh. This one's tough too. I know I have it on my background somewhere, but part of me wants to say dads love this movie. It does technically fit the dudes rock, but not all of them do. So like,
yeah, that's what's
you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's so, especially it really doesn't fit the Venn diagram until you get to like 4, and even 4 doesn't quite get there. It's your 5 through 8s that like that's when it started. Like that's when it really comes together. And I don't know that we can just take the back half of the franchise. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. All right. Tim, any thoughts on this one?
No, I agree.
Let's move on to the next one. Fight Club.
Oh Lord.
Oh boy.
Okay, I'm gonna let someone else. I'm letting someone else take the lead on this.
Let me tell you, as the overlord of this little experiment, this has been a lot of fun for me.
This is diabolical work from Thomas. Every time I come on here, Thomas is up to some kind of scheme that puts me in an incredibly complicated position.
And Danny is clearly a glutton for punishment because he keeps saying yes.
He's coming back, right? You know,
the thing is, last week I asked him. I was like, "Hey, you need a guest coming up?"
You did. You know, you kind of
that comment landed me here.
Yes,
now deciding what to do with David Fincher's Fight Club on a list of dad movies. Oh, how the tides turn! Wow, this is interesting. I will come out and say I hate this movie. I do not like this movie at all.
All right, huh?
This is my least favorite David Fincher movie.
Wow.
And it is
somebody mute him.
Mute him. This is
Fight Club.
I have the most horrifically bizarre David Fincher. Like if you this is a constant. This comes up like once every few months on our team where someone will mention David Fincher and then be like, "Oh, hey, have you seen Danny's list ranking his movies?" And we're all like, "This is the one and only version of that list that exists. No one else has ever put them in that order." So that's kind of where I'm at with David Fincher.
I can't wait to see this list. I'm so excited.
But that's all to say. it does check a lot of these boxes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh man,
Tim,
Yeah,
you
what do you
clearly
think?
have a deferring position on this movie, considering you offered to mute me. So I'm curious to hear what you think.
I mean, it definitely fits the categories to a T, but like, how much Brad Pitt are we going to put on here, Thomas?
I'm sorry that Brad Pitt just
I
shows up in
mean,
like
you
every
got a question earlier about,
I did. And
can
this
you
wasn't
be straight and with Brad? Now
it
I've
wasn't
got
intentional. I'm sorry.
3 movies on this list already.
What I will say is
Yeah.
these two subgenres, or like nano genres, or however you want to quantify it, I don't think are the most forward ideas that this movie presents. I think it more so exists in the like men's mental health associated with like consumerism and nihilism. Like I do think that is a tangential, very, very minutia subgenre that I think is like, it's not, God, it's so hard to describe because like, yeah, it has a lot of the sort of ideas that you categorize in these things, but I wouldn't watch it with my dad. Like, and that vibe is a different energy. I don't know.
Yeah, so Danny, I'm with Tim, and we should definitely mute you from now on.
Just in general.
I adore Fight Club. I will admit though that Fight Club has some of the absolute worst dude bros that love it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah,
That's
and
true.
It's more of the
clearly-
dude bro genre,
Yes,
which is
yes.
different
Yeah.
than the dad genre.
Yes. So I feel like they've kind of reclaimed this movie for all the things that this movie is literally making fun of them for, and they just missed the point. And they're also the ones that are the loudest. So I will admit that it has created some of the absolute worst fans ever. But I wrote my senior dissertation on Fight Club, so I have a very personal, yeah. But I say all that though. And I will actually motion to disqualify it because, to Danny's point, this is classic dudes rock, like as far dudes rock as you could possibly get for both good and bad reasons. But I wouldn't sit down and watch it with my dad either. And my dad likes a lot of intellectual type things. Like he'd be down for a movie about like consumerism and mental health and toxic masculinity and all of that kind of stuff. And I still don't think this is a movie that, when it showed up on TNT, I just don't think he would watch it. I think he would just change the channel. So I would actually motion to disqualify it. I think it only fits one of the categories.
All right. So disqualifying. Moving on to the next one. Okay. The random picker has now chosen Goodfellas.
I hadn't even thought of this category.
I quit. I'm out. I'm out. Y'all finish this shit by yourself. I'm going home. I got other stuff to do today. This is, God damn it.
I hadn't even crossed the threshold of Scorsese stuff mentally.
There you go. Does it take the now coveted number 4 spot, or are we still trying to leave room for
that
things?
Godfather is going to come up now?
I know.
This opens that door. It depends how quickly we close the list, because eventually it's probably going to get there.
That's true. You guys keep disqualifying stuff.
No, we're going to end up having Godfather at 10.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine if 10 is the last one and that's what randomizes?
Oh my gosh, we would get so canceled. I don't know if anyone would listen to us again.
I'd have to get off, so I'd never be on social media again. That'd be the end of my entire internet career. Look, Goodfellas. This fits. This in stark contrast to Fight Club. This movie checks every single box in both categories. Like, this is top of the list, mid Venn diagram.
Yeah, I definitely think it fills both categories of the Venn diagram to me.
In there if we get, I'm okay with 4 or 5. I think this is. I doubt that there's going to be too many movies that are really going to come out that's going to really fight for one of those 2 slots when it comes to something like Goodfellas.
All right, Tim, you have a thought on this one?
No, I agree. 4 or 5. I think it's got to be near the top, but you don't want to put it under Ocean's 11 or Moneyball.
Yeah.
True.
I'm almost inclined to use that 4 spot. Like this feels to me like what we were sort of waiting for to take something. Well, like that 4 spot became coveted after we filled 1, 2, 3 immediately. So whatever happened in the entire rest of the blind ranking, that was going to be our number 1 movie. And I'm not mad if Goodfellas represents that.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm fine with 4. If we steal that, now 5 becomes the covet. So
But this opens a whole world that I wasn't even thinking of. Like this
how
opens
did I miss
Godfather, Taxi
Goodfellas?
Driver.
God, how did I just discount Scorsese, who is like, like this is all he makes.
Right.
All he makes are dudes rock dad movies.
This is fun. This is so fun for me.
The Departed is going to come up. God
I
damn it.
know.
God damn it, Thomas.
Tim was just saying how many Brad Pitt movies can we get on here, and now we're getting into the roster, and I'm like, fill the rest of them with Scorsese then.
There you go.
I don't think there's any dad out there that hasn't fired up at least a portion of Goodfellas on cable TV, though.
Yeah. You want to talk about talking about TNT movie energy in a positive light? Like Goodfellas is literally always on. Like if you turn on cable TV at any point on any day, you can catch a portion of Goodfellas at any day of the week.
That's funny. All right. Going back to the randomizer, and it is picking
The Godfather.
that would be really funny. Die Hard.
Oh,
God. As the resident dad on here, okay, Die Hard is like Lethal Weapon.
Yes,
it is like the original of entire genres of things. So, like, I was just watching, ironically, dad movie Con Air yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you're like, oh yeah, it's Con Air. Yeah, Con Air is just Die Hard in a plane with prisoners. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a bunch of these other films. I'm trying to think of one more recently, like White House Down Olympus Has Fallen.
Yeah.
It's Die Hard in the White House. It's Die Hard on this. It is the first, and that Die Hard was the movie that I was like, okay, if I'm putting Lethal Weapon at 1, I got to put Die Hard at 4. And then of course you get Goodfellas and all that other. God.
Yeah. Looking back, if there's one thing I could change, I would put Die Hard at 3 and somehow move Braveheart, which obviously we can't do.
Yeah,
I mean, Thomas can type like whatever.
I could type.
Yeah,
but this
just
is
turn
too much.
the recording off. We're gonna flip it and then turn it back on.
No one will know.
Well, you know what though? Here we go. Here's a question. Okay, I will. Where would you put Braveheart in this list if it was not number 3 from what we have right now?
7,
yeah,
or like above Moneyball, just because I don't know. I just feel like the sporting side, like Braveheart is a dad movie.
Yeah. Big time.
So
I would agree.
3, I think, is a little high now.
Yeah. I would put, if what we're doing right now, like if you gave us one change, and look, I can't say it because I know I know The Godfather is coming and it's gonna be 9 or 10, and then we're just completely fucked. So whatever I say now literally doesn't matter. But to Danny's point and to Tim's point, I would move Braveheart to 7 and I would put Die Hard at 3. And then that to me just feels really good. And I could make an argument for any of those. Even if a better film ends up lower down the list, I feel like I can defend this list a little bit better.
Yeah, if that was the case, I actually think that would be the correct order. For as much as you can like say there's any objective to any of this, because we've already established that what we're ranking on is vibes. That feels right. Unfortunately, I do think that leaves us with Die Hard at 5, which isn't bad. It's just a couple spots lower than I think is maybe correct because it has such a weight on being like an early iteration of influencing so many other ensuing dad movies.
You know, because I make the rules and I control everything, I will give you guys one change. So, are we all in agreement for
go.
moving Braveheart to 7 and Die Hard to 3?
Yes, I
Yes.
could live
Yep.
with it. I know
Yeah.
Godfather's going to be 10. I'm just going to have to. I'm just going to have to die on that hill. But
I will give you this one change.
We're gonna actually end up regretting this because Godfather's gonna be 10, and we're gonna be like, wait, we need one revision.
We need one more. That's funny. Okay, good move there. I think that was a good decision. Okay, so randomizer. This is an interesting one. I'm really curious about your guys' perspective. So I mentioned before the podcast that I put one superhero movie in this list, and I was very curious as if it would come up, and it has. And I'm very interested in your guys' take on Blade.
Ooh,
Mm.
Blade.
Ooh, there's a lot of thinking.
A lot of thinking. Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of thinking. You're probably not adding it.
That is true, and that's why I mean, look, I was.
Most of these, it's like as soon as you say it, we're like, oh, we should have
Right.
put it here. We should have put it there. If we have to stop and say, I can see maybe it's not for this list.
I'm cool with
Yeah.
disqualifying it because something I was trying to think about, like, would there be a superhero movie that could fall in this category? And I mentioned to Derek that I think X-Men was almost one of them, but I think that's also really accessible for a lot of people. You know, the original X-Men movie, everyone loves that one. It's a great movie. But Blade is one that I feel like there's a nostalgia for. I mean, everyone of course reveres Wesley Snipes as Blade. And so yeah, I just figured I'd toss it out there and see what you guys thought.
And I know I would feel good about putting a superhero movie on this list, but I'm gonna disqualify it. For me, I would personally disqualify it. I think it fits the dude's rock, but unlike Bad Boys, I don't think Blade crosses over the racial lines. I don't think your racist dad watches Blade. I just
I think you're right. I think you're right. Yeah. Because there's so many other superhero movies your racist dad could watch.
Yes.
Cool.
Like he wouldn't choose this one.
Yeah.
All right. We can move on from Blade. Interesting takes on that one. The randomizer has now chosen Men in Black.
Oh.
Ooh.
That's like tangential Superman or superhero movie.
Superhero,
it's
yeah.
Not it isn't, but it is kind of.
Does your dad like this movie?
And then,
my dad likes
Okay, all right. That's that was an honest question, though.
I would think yes. Yeah.
Okay. I get it's super dudes rock, but then when I say it out loud, it's like, okay, yeah, it's super dudes rock, but it's also like Tommy Lee Jones, who has big dad energy, and you know, Will Smith is still a little young to kind of fit into that dad category, but he is coming off of something like Bad Boys, which is perfectly centered in this Venn diagram. Men in Black is one of those strange movies where I loved when I saw it, and I've loved it for a really long time, and then I've kind of fallen off of it. I think Vincent D'Onofrio is actually the best part of that entire movie. I think what he's doing as the meat sack bug wrapped in a human is just incredible physical acting. If we have to rank it, I'm actually okay with this taking one of the lower spots. I'm okay with this being like 9 or 10.
Yeah, this is either 9 or 10 or disqualify for me. It's the sci-fi element that I've been weighing because I did mention that like multiple genres can fit under this umbrella. I do think sci-fi has a bit of a harder in than things like there's a lot of action or mafia or like espionage on this list. War, those are all genres I would put above sci-fi as falling on this list. And that's maybe something interesting about this, that it was able to kind of capture the dad energy and also be sci-fi and alien invasion. So maybe it's worth a 10.
I think 10
So
feels good.
Thomas, what you have the randomizer? How many movies left are you looking at? Because I know you made the list that randomizes.
Yeah, I didn't count. There's a bunch of them.
Okay, so we still have more. Okay,
you still have more. You still have more.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to get into the territory of running out of movies, but I don't think we're close. But
no, we still have a good selection, but
I would be okay if we disqualify this, because I think, to Danny's point, for some reason sci-fi is actually a lot harder to fit under this broad genre, even though it crosses a bunch of them. Sci-fi just seems to be the one that doesn't always, like, just the fact that we can, like, to your point, just the fact that we can even talk about Men in Black in this category, in these kind of subgenres, is a testament to just how far-reaching Men in Black is. But I would also be okay with disqualifying it. So if we're gonna rank it, it really needs to be 9 or 10 in the bottom. But if we're all like, yeah, we're kind of spinning wheels and trying to make an argument to put it on the list, and we've got more movies to go, then that's fine. I'm okay if it's not included.
Tim, what's the final answer?
Yeah, I mean, I would disqualify just knowing that we have a large swath of movies that are probably more in line with what we're looking for.
We do. Cool. Okay. Moving on, the randomizer has picked Remember the Titans.
This one, I have only seen bits and I've only seen clips. I've actually never sat down and watched this whole movie.
And I have neither. And this
is
sports. We really have not done a lot of sports. At least maybe the randomizer hasn't gotten to some of them.
We're all rating for the better version of it, which is Rudy. So Rudy is dad movie energy more so than Remember the Titans.
Denzel can cross into the dad movie territory at times. He's like, I mean, he's so multifaceted. He can do like high art and dad movie.
Yeah,
you know.
That's true.
This is again, I think this is a 9 or 10 or no. I also haven't seen this in full. I've only seen actually probably cable sections of it.
Which kind of qualifies it?
Which kind maybe qualifies it, yeah.
Tim, what are your thoughts?
So I can tell you that this is a staple in my house growing up. So my dad actually has it tattooed on his arm.
Are you serious?
Shit. Okay.
Oh yeah, him and my sister have left side, strong side tattooed on their on their arm.
Wow.
However, I will say that because the other two gentlemen have not seen it, I don't think we can rate it. So I think we should just qualify it
or you being the most qualified person on this panel, exclusively give your executive
stamp
decision
a veto on there.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, judging by the other movies that may come down the pipe, we need to. I would take it off of there.
Cool. We'll move on to the next one. Oh, it's happened.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
The Godfather.
Okay. Automatic 5. There's no way we're putting
automatic 5.
We've been making jokes all day.
Are you sure you don't want to consider it for number 9?
There's no argument for number 10.
Just to play like mild devil's advocate here. Yes, in terms of quality, like it probably has to be 5 here. Will I immediately come to it when I think of dad movie? Not necessarily, because I think it has also crossed that threshold of being like prestige, which I think is a wholly different territory than I think we do consider from a dad movie perspective. And like, you know, it's when you think of Godfather, like the first thoughts that come to mind are like best movie on IMDb, top 250, best movie on Letterboxd, top 250. Like it's that prestige, it's that like Oscar notoriety, it's that like greatest movie of all time energy, which like separates it a little bit. So like I'm playing devil's advocate here. I do think it still probably does qualify, but like that is something I was gonna throw out there when this came up.
I think you can make that argument. The only thing I would say is like there is literally a cable version of this movie. Like there is like literally a cable cut. Like they made a cut specifically to play on things like TNT, removing all the prestige and brilliant editing and filmmaking.
That,
like, now, Dad, you're gonna do this Sunday. You're gonna watch our version of Godfather.
That's hard to argue with. It's not to play devil's advocate in the sense that like I'm gonna disqualify this because I still think we should put it at 5. But I do think that's like an important note to make on this one too.
No, you're right. And I think it's just a testament to how good Godfather is. That like you can watch the cable version, but then you also have like, it's one of the greatest movies ever made. Like it's so. But yeah,
Plus, Godfather at number 5.
Consider this also includes part 2.
That's true.
Yeah,
and part 3 if you want to consider that. But
there is no part 3. It doesn't.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. And there you go.
Yeah.
That's great. All right, randomizer has now chosen.
All right,
Master
we gotta do
and
this.
Commander.
I got 5 minutes left.
5 minutes. Okay, let's speed through this. Master and Commander, Far Side of the World.
Ooh.
I didn't even know this movie.
Yeah, I'm in the dark on that one too.
I haven't seen it. It would definitely qualify. I just know from just kind of bits and pieces, but yeah, I would, if we haven't seen it, then we just need to disqualify it.
Yep.
Sorry guys.
Yep. Disqualifying. Sorry for Master and Commander fans. Next one, Rush Hour.
Oh,
Jackie Chan enters the conversation.
I know, right? For the first time, strangely. I would give this Dude's Rock. I don't know that this would be dad movie though. It fits a lot. It fits a lot of categories, but I don't know.
What else are we thinking?
It's like, is this a bad list if we don't have Rush Hour on it?
It's a buddy cop movie.
It is
for sure. Martial arts.
It is peak cable television too. Like peak. Yeah. You could basically watch Goodfellas, The Godfather, and Rush Hour back to back to back on TNT whenever you want.
I will say I'm on the IMDb and it does say like streaming TBS TNT. Like that's the streaming guide for this movie. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Do we want to put this one at like number 10?
I don't know, Tim. Does this qualify as a dad movie?
It's close. It kind of you got that again, like Lethal Weapon, buddy cop, but differing characters. Definitely shows up on TNT a lot. I'll tell you that right now. So, yeah, I mean, we could put it at 10.
You want to toss it at 10?
I want to save 9 just in case.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like let's put it at 10 and then we can rifle through for what we think deserves the last spot.
All right. So potentially the last one, depending on if you qualify it or not. The randomizer has picked. We're in sports. Rocky.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, it's got to go at 9.
I'm so glad we got to Rocky as a resident Philadelphian.
Yes.
How did I not even think about Rocky?
Yeah.
I don't know why this movie was not in the forefront of my mind, and it should have been. I should have been thinking on Rocky coming out. Like, talk about a friggin' box check. Jesus.
We validated this list by holding out long enough to get to Rocky on the randomizer.
That's exactly what you guys did. This is very strategic on your part.
That would have been real bad too if we turned in a list that didn't have Rocky on it anywhere. Dads and Dudes Rock would burn us alive.
I think I am happy that it just didn't come in at number 10 because again, the optics of that, like I think that putting Rush Hour down there and kind of having that floor was probably a really good idea. Like with Rush Hour at number 10, I think you can make great arguments for everything above that belonging above that. So Yeah. Derek, I know you have to take off, but really quick, we have Lethal Weapon, Rush Hour at number 10, Rocky number 9, Moneyball at number 8, Braveheart, you guys very strategically moved to number 7. Ocean's 11 at number 6, The Godfather at number 5, Goodfellas number 4, Die Hard number 3, Bad Boys number 2, and Lethal Weapon number 1. Derek, what are your overall thoughts on this?
Real quick, I actually feel I feel okay with the list itself. Like, I actually think these are some of the right movies. I'm sure if you dug deep enough, you could find ones that you could kind of swap out. But for the most part, like, I actually feel okay that we did a good due diligence in getting to like the right films that fit the right categories that we're looking for this discussion. I would definitely move around some stuff, primarily just kind of switch around some stuff in the top 5. But I mean, like, yeah, I'd probably find a better place for Rocky. I think Rocky is obviously more influential and better than Braveheart. It might even be more influential and better than Ocean's 11, even though Ocean's 11 preferentially is a better movie for me. But like, I mean, Die Hard at 3 feels good, but also like I could make the case for that being 1. The same thing with like Goodfellas. Got like those top 5. I would just. For the rest of the day, I'm just going to sit around and play with them and try to figure out what is my actual list. But yeah, I think for how challenging this was, like way more challenging than I thought it would be, and I genuinely had a good time. But yeah, for what it is, I think we did a pretty good job in getting the right movies on the list.
Yeah, for sure. Tim, what are your thoughts on this blind ranking top 10?
Well, I'm glad you gave us a little movement there. I'd probably, talking 1 through 5, I'd probably swap Die Hard and Bad Boys. Just because Lethal Weapon and Die Hard are both those 2 like quintessential dad movies that started basically the entire. They make the same movie just with a different name in different areas. As soon as you brought up Blade, all I could think about was Passenger 57.
Yeah, that's
which
way
is
more in line.
effectively Die Hard on a plane.
Yep.
So,
very cool.
Yeah.
And Danny, your thoughts on this list?
I think it's a pretty good list for what we were presented with. I'd definitely be curious to see what we weren't presented with, because I do think there's some things that probably would show up on a top 10 of these lists that we just didn't have the opportunity to include, which obviously there's nothing we can do about. We're at the will of the randomizer. But I think like there's some comedies that like this is a very serious list, right? And I do think like some screwball comedies are really high on this territory, that like something like
Caddyshack, Stripes.
Yes.
Like,
oh my God.
Yeah.
Like the Christmas Vacation, like Lampoon's Vacation
God,
series.
yeah.
I think there's definitely a huge swath of comedy entries that we didn't get to that could certainly be in here. But like, as far as the more like kind of serious action, mafia, even some sports we snuck in there at the end, like this is pretty solid. I wouldn't change a whole lot about how I ranked these. Again, this has absolutely nothing to do with personal preference of the movies for me. But I'm very happy that Rocky did make it in there. I don't like Rocky, but I think it has to be on here.
Right. No, you guys did a good job, and this was very fun for me. I enjoyed watching you guys struggle over this list, but that's sometimes that's what the best entertainment is made of. So all right, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. Just before we take off, if you guys have anything to plug, Danny, anything you'd like to let listeners know to keep an eye out for with you guys over on the Rolling Tape?
Sure. You can find us reviewing movies in theater every week. We have a TV series where we're covering TV on our Patreon. Please subscribe to that if you are excited about a lot of behind the scenes exciting series, a whole bunch of different podcast series that we're doing there. We have so many different things, news, recaps, festival recaps, everything movies you can find somewhere in our catalog of episodes. So a lot of amazing stuff there. You can see us at therollingtape.com and The Rolling Tape wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yeah, they pump out so much content. Like my push notification feed always has Rolling Tape on it.
It's nuts, man.
It makes me feel like I am underperforming.
We released a podcast every single day in June.
That's insane.
That is
Good for you guys.
yeah, that's incredible. Seriously, that's incredible.
A huge lift from Tribeca for sure.
Yeah.
We did a lot of interviews at Tribeca, but yeah, it was a crazy month.
That's awesome. Great for you guys. Derrick, anything you want to plug before we take off?
Yeah, you can check out all my written work at nerdbot.com. Then you can follow me on all social medias. I do a lot of quick reviews on there. And then obviously follow ForReel as we continue to pump out great content for you guys.
Maybe not once a day, but we're still putting out great content.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. We got a schedule.
There.
We got a plan. We're gonna get there.
Tim, anything you want to share before we take off?
No, I'm gonna give all my time to you for some more plugs.
Yeah. No, you can, of course, find all of our content at thisisforreel.com. ForReel, of course, spelled FORREEL. Hit us up on the social medias. That'll be in the description. And yeah, engage with us. Like, comment, share. We love to connect with you guys and have these conversations online about movies. And you can, of course, leave your take on this top 10 list in the comments. So this has been All My Friends Are Movie Fans, a ForReel original podcast series. If you're a movie fan, be one of our friends too. Connect with us at the links in the descriptions and tune in again next time.